I remember as far back, some of my first memories was, you know, we would load up, and my dad at the time, he had I still remember it was a green Chevy Cab. We'd jump in there, me, mom, dad, brother, and we'd drive up on top of Spade Mountain, park in the ditch, and pick onions for about 2 or 3 hours, and we did it every spring. I go with my grandma too, and it was just, it was kind of, when I was little, it wasn't really about picking onions. I remember I used to kind of get mad thinking about picking onions, because I would work hard, and maybe just have a little handful, and my dad would have a whole bunch. But there was other things I enjoyed when I was younger, you know, learning different things and just being out there talking, laughing, having fun. Cherokee culture is fluid, you know, it's different things to different people, but one thing we all have in common is there's some things that we all have in common, and onions is one of those. Whether you live in Rogers County or southern Adair County, you know about wild onions. And so it's important for that reason, but it's also important to just get outside. Cherokees belong outside, you know, doing things. And my great uncle told me one time, his name's Thomas Wofford, he told me that to Cherokees, everything's got a purpose. Everything outside's got a purpose. Nothing is just there to be there, you know, and onions is part of that, you know. It's kind of an example of that. I've had people ask me, you know, how do you find onions, or how do you find mushrooms? And I just tell them to look, because more than likely there's some onions growing in your yard right now. I know there's some at my house right now, but mostly it's just getting out and looking. I like to dig them. I like to choose where I dig them, though. I like to dig somewhere where there's a old creek bank, because their roots aren't down in the soil as far, and so you can just kind of turn them over with whatever you're using to dig them with. I like to clean mine. A lot of people will clean them right where they're at. Some people say so they'll grow back next year. I like to clean mine. I go to a spring usually, or the creek. By cleaning them, you just pinch off there's a layer of skin kind of around that bulb. Pinch that off with the roots, and you're ready to go. They taste a lot like green onions, kind of, that you grow in your garden, or people call them scallions. But what I like about them better than scallions is the texture. They're smaller, with just as much flavor, especially young onions. These onions we're looking at today they're kind of, I wouldn't call them late season, because you can find onions up until May, but they're mature onions. They're kind of larger. The ends will probably cut off because they might be a little tough, but even if they're tough, they're good. Mom usually cooks them. I'm not big on cooking onions. I'll eat them all day long, but she boils them. Cuts them up and then boils them for a little while, and then puts them with eggs. But we eat so much onion because they grow for so long, and we'll have 3 or 4 or 5 messes throughout the whole spring. But they're good like that. They're good anyway. Any way you want to eat them, they're good raw. Another important thing about people either learning or just going out and picking onion is it's a good time to learn about other things. When I was a kid, I remember I used to be in a hurry, you know, like a competition. Am I going to outpick my brother? But later I've learned it's better to take your time and you enjoy it more. But also my dad, he would always tell us things, you know, like first time I ever saw bloodroot was on an onion trip, and different plants and trees. That's one thing Dad always taught us, was identify our trees and what grew by those trees. And I learned most of those things on onion trips, you know, getting onions. And so it's not just about picking wild onion. It's about learning other things too, you know, learning Cherokee names for them. Suck, Enoch, Ahi, onions that live in the wild.